Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast with me, your host, Alex. In today's episode, we are going to be diving straight into the question, what opportunities are you attracting or creating for yourself? So, this is a topic that really, there's a few words I could use here. Riles me up, inspires me, gets me angry, like gets me frustrated, gets me so energetic, gets me super activated is probably the word I should use. It's a topic that really activates me because there are so many times that people, and me myself included, find themselves being a victim in a situation where they haven't actually created or attracted any opportunities for themselves. And it begs the question of like, well, if you aren't going to help yourself, why would anyone else help you? Now, there are a few ways to look at this question of what opportunities are you attracting or creating yourself. You could come at it from, I can't have any opportunities come my way because of these circumstances, or I find it really hard to attract opportunities to myself because of these circumstances. Or you could come at it from, I have the circumstances I have these situations that I'm in, I have these few or great opportunities available and I don't really know what to do next. Now, with this way of looking at it, you can do a lot more for yourself than coming at it from a victimhood lens of nothing ever happens for me, I can't create anything, and it's just always going to be this way. I can't really do much for you if you're in that headspace. Maybe you just need like 5 minutes to re-regulate and like eat a fucking banana and drink some water and like come back to neutral, okay? So if that's you, then maybe go off and do that and then come back to this because I will probably activate you in a non-positive way if you continue listening to the rest of this episode. So the whole premise around this, around attracting opportunities for yourself, around creating opportunities for yourself, is the fact that you have to be someone who is willing to make anything work. You have to become the person that will be dealt any scenario, any circumstance, any great or hindering obstacle, and say, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to work out a way. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter the things that I need to do to get there. I'm going to be a person that will make it work. And if you are not one of these people currently, don't worry. It is a skill you can develop. It is a resilience you can have. And it is something you can work on actively. So becoming a person who will do anything to make it work doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your boundaries. It doesn't mean you have to push too hard that you burn out. It doesn't mean that you have to step on people to get to the top. It just means that in whatever circumstance you are in right now, you are going to shift and change whatever it is you need to make the thing you're desiring or needing to go next so that the next thing can happen, whatever that is. You need to be able to make it work with your current circumstances. You need to be able to make decisions without holding back and waiting 6 months, waiting a year. You need to be able to move pretty rapidly and be okay with whatever circumstance or consequence comes from it. And you need to be able to have the confidence in yourself that you can deal with it, regardless of what that is. So, being able to deal with whatever consequence or circumstance that arises from a decision you have made just gives you that extra boost of reassurance, self-trust, and confidence that no matter what it is that you're deciding on or moving on or the shift and change that you're creating for yourself, you're going to have your own back. You're going to be able to work through it. If it goes to shit, you're going to be able to celebrate and make a great decision again if it goes really well. And even if it comes to a point where you're having all of the success, all of the things that you dreamed of, but you know you're not being fulfilled, it also means making the hard decisions to do something else. It means making yourself safe to pivot even when things are good. If they're not ideal, if they're not optimal, if they're not something that drives you and fulfills you, you also have to be able to create and attract opportunities for yourself that mean letting go of something really good in the pursuit of something better, right? So on that, I really want to just like talk through some of the opportunities and things that I've created and attracted for myself that didn't necessarily align fully at the time, but opened doors for me to be able to either have the perspective shift that I needed, or to have an opportunity to do something that was more aligned, or simply shut the door in my face to tell me, no, this isn't what you want, this isn't the right path, and you need to shift so that you're actually on the right path. So these opportunities are not just shiny, beautiful objects that mean you are having all of the success and all of the joy and all of the fulfillment. These opportunities can also mean it's shutting a door, an avenue that isn't meant for you. It's saying no. And you have to be okay to hold yourself in that, right? So I just want to talk through some of the ones that I've had of both circumstances. So I have created a lot of jobs for myself. I have inserted myself in places where there wasn't necessarily a need for me to be there, but I ended up being there anyway. And I've also attracted some opportunities like this. You could call it manifesting, you could call it fate, whatever. There have been opportunities that have come across my desk that have meant that I've had something that necessarily wouldn't have been a perfect fit for really anyone else other than me. And I don't really know how to describe that in like a less egotistical way, but that is just the way my frame of reference works. So I have created jobs for myself in terms of work experience, in terms of creating a CV for myself that has been able to apply to so many different types of jobs. And I've also created this opportunity within myself to do whatever needs to be done in order to get me to the next stage of the thing that I'm trying to achieve. So in the pursuit of traveling, I took on any job that would pay me a sufficient enough amount of money to save to get me traveling. I crafted a CV with so many different types of jobs on it that it means if I apply to any job, I have a literacy in starting something new and being great at it. I've put myself in opportunities, and I've put myself in volunteer places. I don't really know how to word that better, but like say I'm in uh I was in a job for 6 months in a financial company. I created opportunities for myself for my coaching business within this company, and I was only there for 6 months. I created opportunities to have people on podcasts. I created opportunities to help volunteer, not volunteer, do charity work within these that aligned with my purpose. I had conversations with people that never would have spoken to me otherwise had I not put myself forward and volunteered to be in a space that meant I connected with them and that they started to know my face, right? Within this financial job, if you just told me on paper that this is where you'd be, I'd be like, that makes no sense. But I crafted a CV that meant I could apply to that with full confidence that I would get that job. It meant that in that job that had really no like no direct correlation to what it is I want to do with my career and what I want to build with my businesses. It had really no direct correlation to that, but it allowed me to do some of the foundational work with admin, with network building, with I was a PA, so like event planning, and so like there was just so many tiny little things and tiny little skills that I was able to develop in this financial company that I never would have had I not created the opportunity for that job and applied to it with full confidence that I would get it. And I was only able to apply to this job because of all the previous work I'd done leading up to that, which was putting my face online regularly and hopefully not embarrassing myself. It was being confident in speaking. It was being able to critically analyze myself, pick out work that I'd done previously, and write it in a format that meant my CV was strong. It meant preparing myself for an interview in a way that meant I could speak eloquently and confidently about my skills for a role that wouldn't necessarily have applied to me otherwise. I had no skill in being a personal assistant, truly in the sense, but what I did have was a lot of skill of being my own assistant, of creating things for myself, for being able to plan and think ahead and have all of the foundational skills that this role needed, yes, but also be able to create, I don't want to keep saying creating opportunities, but like, how can I frame this? And really be able to build skills that I didn't have in a very short amount of time so that if it was needed for that role, I had full confidence in the fact that I'd be able to learn and execute within a short period of time. Maybe I needed training once. Maybe I needed someone to give me a demo, someone to check my work after I'd done it myself for the first time, and then I was rolling. But all of this skill, all of this confidence and the ability to back myself and the ability to create these opportunities for myself comes from having the proactiveness to be able to solve any problem. Whatever decision I make, I will make it work. No matter the consequence, no matter the circumstance I find myself in, I am a person who is able to make it work. Can you say the same for yourself? If you were dropped in any scenario right now, do you have full confidence in the fact that you are able to make it work? You're able to make the decisions that you need to. You're able to move without full reassurance. You're able to say, you know what, I volunteered myself for that. I don't really know why right in this second, but it feels right. And I trust my gut and I trust the instinct that's telling me that this is an opportunity in itself. So I'm going to do it, even if it doesn't directly align to the thought process right now. I'm sure it will present itself. Do you have the confidence in your ability to do that? Would I have applied for this financial job, like financial sector job, if I didn't have these skills and this innate knowing that I'm able to make anything work? Probably not. Would I have had the insane opportunities created as a result of it? Probably not. That would mean I wouldn't have had hiccup, my first public speaking engagement in front of like 70 people. It would have meant I wouldn't have run an online and in-person event with maybe like 30 people. It would have meant I'd have missed out on opportunities to volunteer for a charity. It would have meant I'd have missed out networking with a bunch of people who are very incredible and have given me a lot of insight into business. Wouldn't have met them either. But I trusted myself and I trusted the fact that I knew it would give me the skills I needed to make something else. And previous to this, I knew that building the skills that I needed to support myself in business, to have skills to be diverse on my CV, to work any job I needed to save the money so that I could go traveling. Building all of these things beforehand meant that me executing in this financial sector job just made sense. People trusting me with a high level of responsibility to plan things by myself, to execute by myself, to have free reign to change processes and change systems by myself. That was only possible because I backed myself so confidently and because I delivered on the promise that if you give me this trust, if you give me this responsibility, I will show up. I will make anything work. I will find a way, even if it's not clear, even if I don't have the full expertise, even if I don't have the skill and the knowledge right this second, I will do what needs to be done to make it work. So in making these opportunities for myself, in attracting these opportunities for myself, I'm able to confidently do that. And I'm able to trust in the fact that I can do that because I will do what's required of me. It's so hard to do any of these kinds of things, to attract for yourself, to manifest, to create things when you're not actively doing anything, when you have no confidence in yourself that you're able to execute, when you break your promises to yourself consistently, when you lose your trust because you don't show up with your word, when you say you'll do one thing and then you flake. It's really hard to build these kind of incredible moments and these demonstrations of your skill and your passion and your energy and your potential when you're constantly cutting yourself down in other ways, when you're not showing up as you say you will, when you're breaking your promises, when you're half-assing things, when you're being impressive to no one because you can barely muster the energy to do the things that you need to do for yourself. No, you're not going to be creating opportunities. No, you're not going to be driving yourself forward to the goal that you've always had. Another example of this, when I was in uni, I was working two jobs. I was working as a content creator for my university, making content for their social pages and for their website. I was working a bars and dining job. I was working in a cafe. I was working in food service. Um, what else did I do in that bars and dining job? Like admin stuff. I was doing all of that. And within like, I think it was 6 weeks of that bars and dining job, they were already asking me to become a supervisor because that is how competent and driven and good at executing I am when I decide to be. Don't get me wrong, I can be very half-assed. I can be very lazy as a person if and when I decide that is the course of action that I'm taking. But when I decide that I'm putting my energy into something and I'm going to show up effectively, you best believe people are going to notice. Within 6 weeks of starting that job, I was asked to be a supervisor. I didn't take on the responsibility because it required extra hours of me. And it was time I didn't have because I was trying to run my own business. And it honestly just wasn't a responsibility I was willing to take on at that point because I had so much responsibility in other areas of my life. But it just goes to show within 6 weeks, after people had been there for years, I was one of the people that was asked to be promoted into that kind of role. You have to be willing to make shit happen for yourself. You have to be willing to put yourself in spaces that you are uncomfortable in at the first moments that you're in there, in places that you feel like maybe you shouldn't be in this room, but actually you're going to stay and you're going to prove your worth regardless. And this isn't to come from a place of like, you have to prove your worth, you have to show that you're good, you have to be impressive, you have to go the extra mile. And things that don't matter, no, sure, you don't. But in things that are going to build your confidence, they're going to build your skills, they're going to stretch you and expand you, they're going to put you in rooms with people that you never would have been with otherwise. Yes, it is required of you to go the extra mile. Yes, it is required of you to put in the extra hours of work. Yes, it is required of you to make some big promises and do the work to deliver them. Because you only build this rapport with people, you only build these relationships, you only create these opportunities when you back yourself 100% to actually do the work, to deal with the consequences, to make the decisions, to move when it feels hard, to take responsibility if it goes wrong. Because that's also something I had to do. If something fucked up, if I did something wrong, if I messed up something because maybe I didn't have the skills at the time and I was learning on the job and I messed it up a bit, I had to take responsibility for the fact that I did that. I had to put my hands up and say, okay, I think I've done this thing wrong. It might have messed up a process. It might have gone over someone's head that it shouldn't have. It might have slipped under the radar of something that should have been checked and refined. And I had to say, okay, I didn't know better. I do know now, and I will make it work. I will deal with the consequences of my actions. I will take the slap on the hand. I will be told off for a second so that I can improve. And I won't make it mean something more than exactly what it is. I messed up. I now know better and I will now do better. I won't sit and dwell on the fact that I made a mistake for 17 months and never speak to that person again and avoid all meetings with them and make myself as small and unseen as possible because I might have been scolded or told off once or twice. It's just not the way to create the life that you are dreaming of. You have to be audacious. You have to be delusional. You have to push yourself. You have to physically create from places that maybe there doesn't seem to be anything to create. You have to be hopeful and have a vision and have a drive to make something out of nothing. And whatever that something is for you and whatever that nothing is for you, don't be a victim to it. Don't be a person so lost in their circumstances and so lost in the victimhood that they can't create something great for themselves because they are so stuck on the fact that it's shit. For so many people, it's shit. Like for so many people, what they are currently experiencing in whatever form, relationships, grief, money, stability, safety, like for so many people, it is shit right now. But you have to be one of the people to go, okay, it's shit, and I acknowledge that, and I really feel and tap into that part, and I acknowledge the fact that it's so hard for myself right now, but I've got to move anyway. I've got to create something for myself anyway. I've got to attract this towards myself anyway. So Some of the things you can really be doing right now to attract and create these opportunities. And I'm just going to list these out, and like all of these can be a podcast episode in themselves, but I'm just going to list them out and do with them what you will. You can be utilizing the teachings of manifestation, the law of attraction, but also the law of action. You can be visualizing what your perfect day is. You can be visualizing how this opportunity is going to fall into your lap. You can be using some of these manifestation techniques and teachings to attract these things towards yourself. And then you can trust in the fact that, okay, I've done the provisional work of attracting and thinking about it and manifesting it. And now I can do the work. Now I can put myself in spaces that make me uncomfortable. Now I can do the stretchy shit. Now I can make myself resilient and strong and able to pursue and do whatever it takes to get there. Now I can do that because I've got the vision, I've got the direction that I want to go in, and I'm going to trust that it's going to happen regardless. You can leave room for blessings here. In this attraction and manifestation and opportunity like process, you can leave the room for the blessings to come to you. So when I say this, I mean creating space for yourself, not overloading your nervous system too much, not constantly in the consumption cycle and what can I do next and what can I have next and what can I Google next to give me the quick fix. You can leave room for blessings. You can have space with yourself. You can just journal it out. You can go for walks with nothing in your ears and just let the ideas come to you. Let it all flow to you. You can also, from that, work in between that, in between the leaving the space in the room for yourself to manifest and attract it. You can work until it is unfathomable that you will not succeed. There are times when hard work really does outdo any kind of manifestation and attraction you can think of. Hard work will get you there faster. And this doesn't mean hustle culture, grind yourself to the bone. It doesn't mean work 77 hours a week. In some weeks, it might look like that. However, for the most part, for the majority of cases, you just need to work and keep working and not lose faith in it until it becomes unfathomable that this thing won't happen, this thing won't present itself. If you are working on building a brand and you work for 3 years, it's unfathomable that if what you're doing and what you're building is the right thing, right? Obviously, if you're posting to no one, no one's going to see it for 3 years. Obviously, it's not going to work. But you can work until it's unfathomable in the right direction that it's just there's no way this is not going to come to you. There's no way this is not going to come to fruition. And the final part of this, of how you can attract opportunities and create them for yourself, is that if this thing is not aligning, don't force it. Like with me thinking I was going to be a doctor, it's not aligning, don't force it. Allow this space that we're talking about to also guide you in the directions of what isn't going to work. Saying yes to everything and saying yes to every opportunity is also saying no to your own growth and your own potential and your own goal. So there's a duality in this that it's like a fine balance that we have to go with. You have to work until it's unfathomable. You have to leave space for your blessings and you have to manifest this kind of thing. You have to have the visualization and the trust within yourself to know that it's coming regardless. But you also have to know when to say yes and when to say no to things so that when you're working so hard it's unfathomable, you are actually working towards the correct goal. You're not getting sidetracked. You're not taking on a million side projects that are just detracting from the main goal. You're not saying yes to that social engagement that means you're going to take away time from your work that's more important. It means that you have to say no to work sometimes to get that rest in so that you're able to manifest and relax and feel into it. Like there's just a duality in all of this that means you can be aware of where things connect to give you an advantage later on. Saying yes to this thing right now is going to connect me to something that will advantage me later on. Saying no to this thing right now is going to connect me to something that's going to give me an advantage later on. Saying yes to that corporate job gave me an advantage to have more confidence in business, to understand strategy, to literally understand tax. Your girl didn't know anything about tax before I took that financial sector corporate job. Literally nothing. Now I know a lot about tax. That is going to advantage me later on. I didn't know anything about how to be a PA. Now I really know how to efficiently manage my time and others. I know when to say yes to things. I know when to say no to things. I know when to schedule meetings and when not to. I know how to value people's time. At that moment, saying yes to this corporate job didn't make sense. It actively detracted from what it was I wanted to be doing. However, I knew that it would give me an advantage in skills that I needed to develop now so that later on they would benefit me in the thing that I'm trying to build. It's this macro vision with this micro focus. Your macro vision is the goal. Mine is building the successful business. It is working and having impact with thousands, if not millions of women. That is my macro goal. In the micro, taking that corporate job, so I knew how to plan events. I knew how to schedule meetings. I knew how to value people's time. I learned about tax. I created opportunities for myself to work on my own personal business alongside the corporate job. I learned how to network and communicate and build relationships with very important people. All of these things I learned in that corporate job did not make sense to my macro goal. It actively detracted from me trying to get to that goal. But in that moment, it gave me the skills, the confidence, and the knowledge necessary that I now need later on in my business. I need to know how to connect with people. I need to know how to schedule meetings. I need to know how to plan an event. I need to know how to talk to other people. I need to know how to write a corporate email. And I wouldn't have known any of that had I not taken this opportunity. So some of the things here that you can actively do to do this for yourself is just ask questions. Just ask for what you want, ask the questions, ask for a helping hand, ask to do something yourself, ask for responsibility. Just ask for whatever it is that you're trying to build or create or develop for yourself. Just ask the question. The worst people can say is no. The worst thing people can say to you really is no. They can be mean about it, sure. They could be ridiculing you. They can make you feel embarrassed for asking, sure. But actually, the worst they can say is no. And more times than not, you'll find people say yes. People want to give others the benefit of the doubt. They want to share the load. They want to hand off responsibility sometimes. So if you can be one of the people that asks for what it is you want and asks for the opportunity and asks to develop your skills in whatever way, shape, or form, you'll find more people say yes than say no. Put yourself forward even if you're not qualified. That is another one. Put yourself forward for the task, put yourself forward for the project, put yourself forward for the promotion or the job or whatever the thing is. Put yourself forward even if you're not the most qualified, even if you're not qualified at all. Then you're going to work your ass off and you're going to wow them. And you're going to make everyone in the room that doubted you impressed that you did it. And then you're going to say, if you need any help, I've got you. And build those connections with people in all spaces, shapes, and sizes. That means you have connections later on to call in favors, to ask for advice, to ask for help, to ask for support, to ask for an opportunity. Later on, you can ask them and be confident in the fact that they know, regardless of what it is you're asking for, it's going to be valuable. It's going to be worth it. It's going to create something great because you work your ass off. You'll solve any problem that needs solving and you'll perform, right? Get comfortable being uncomfortable in all of this. All of this is so uncomfortable. None of this is easy. This is all really hard stuff. Creating opportunities for yourself, manifesting things, all of this is so hard. And you just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Embrace the cringe, embrace the uncomfortability, embrace the embarrassment until you are the person who knows the most about this thing, until you're the one that everyone's coming to and asking how they did it, until you're the one that everyone's like, oh my God, did you hear about this person? Did you hear what they did? Did you hear how incredible it is? Did you hear how amazing their work was? You can be that person, but you never get to be that person until you embrace the cringe, embrace the embarrassment, put yourself in the room, get uncomfortable, and keep working on that until you are the expert. So part of that is being reliable with your time, being reliable with your word. Don't slack. Do the things that is asked, do the things that are asked of you, do the things that are required of you, even if they aren't necessarily verbal or spoken or known. Do the things that you can imagine would be required of you in this sense. And be reliable in that. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't break your word. Your trust is everything, both with yourself and with others. You're going to build these connections based on this trust. You're going to create these opportunities for yourself and for others based on this trust. So just be reliable with it. Be your word and be proactive in the fact that you know you're acquiring these skills for your greater purpose, for your macro goal. Like I said, my macro goal is so far removed from that corporate job. However, it meant acquiring skills I needed for later on. And just because you don't know that thing yet, just because you don't have this skill currently, does not mean you can't acquire it with an hour of intense Google or watching some YouTube tutorials or downloading the software and working it out as you go. You have the ability, you are so smart, like you are so intelligent. You have the ability to do whatever it is that's required of you to make it work. So just work it out. Don't cry about it and like get all flustered and frustrated that you don't know better. Just find out how you can know better. Find out the things you need to know better. Become curious, be proactive, ask the questions, be your word, be reliable, show up as you wish someone would show up for you in the thing that you need help with, and be that person for others. It's going to take grit, it's going to take resilience, it's going to take sometimes doing the extra thing that no one else would think of, but you would. It requires being an extraordinary person sometimes, and we don't always feel that within ourselves. We feel quite disconnected, I think, sometimes from our work and our purpose and our impact and the goal that we've got in mind. But everything is really at your fingertips. You just have to make it work. You just have to be the person that will do whatever it takes. You'll do what's required, and that's just going to be the person you are. So this is a very, very passionate appeal for you to be the person who will do anything to make it work. You're going to attract these opportunities for yourself. You're going to create these opportunities for yourself, but only if you become that person. And I fully believe if you're not already, you are going to be, and you're going to step into this so fluidly and so amazingly. So that is really all I have to say. It was a bit of a sermon, I can't lie. We went down a few avenues, but I hope it's clear enough. If it's not, and you need any more advice or questions answered, you know where to find me. My socials are below. I love you. I believe in you. Your dreams are so worth the cost that it takes right now to get there. Create, attract, make space, work hard, all of the things in duality, all of the things in tug and pull? No, that is not the saying at all, but I have a feeling you know what I'm talking about. It's a back and forth, it's back and forth, it's back and forth. But yeah, I'm going to sign off now. I will see you in the next episode. I don't really know what we're talking about right now because I can't see it on my planner. But I will see you in the next episode, and I hope you have the most gorgeous and amazing day. I love you guys. I believe in you. Your dreams are absolutely worth the effort. So do something about them. Okay. See you in the next episode. Bye, guys.